Welcome back to my channel, Star Booze.
Loretta Swit, a star of the popular Here in New York, the CBS series, passed away today. I understand that this could sound like a silly query, but what the devil? How are you? MASH was not just a television display. Family was involved. Additionally, when a member, it is quite painful if that family departs. Loretta and Alan Alda were well known, as charming as the astute Hawkeye Pierce and Margaret Hot Lips pointed, tongued lips a pair whose chemistry is Houlihan held audiences' attention for more than 10 years. However, behind the scenes, their relationship ran deeper still. Alda stayed for years, silent regarding their friendship off-screen. However, since Swit's death, the adored actor is at last revealing his quiet. Which stories did he not share with anyone? These years. The last curtain call, the death of Loretta, and the world's sorrow. May 30th, 2025, the world was informed of the tragic news of death of Loretta Swit. The Emmy-winning actress was honored for her legendary Major Margaret Hot Lips' characterization Houlihan on the groundbreaking TV series MASH departed in peace at their New York City residence at the age of 87. Harlan B., her agent, verified that she died soon after May 30th at midday, and the reason was thought to be organic. The instant and the report's extensive reach, her spokeswoman verified it quickly, demonstrated the close relationship between the public opinion of Swit and, consequently, she helped define the popular series. Her death was more than just the loss of a celebrity. It was a figure's loss. She felt like a treasured one to millions, a member of their own family circle. While the news's primary focus was in her iconic MASH role, additionally, reports recognized the scope of her post-Korean War career environment. Loretta's lengthy and impressive career in both television and theater, in addition to being ardent supporter of animal rights. Early in life, she adopted a vegetarian diet, and in 1981 made the switch to vegetarianism. Days prior to her death, Loretta remained in contact with supporters and honoring the legacy of MASH on social media. She shared a touching Memorial Day remembrance and exchanged a lovely birthday letter to Gary, her former co-star Berghoff, who played Radar. Gary, happy birthday. Louis-Vuittons, accompanied by a carousel of vintage images from the performance. Even after decades, after MASH concluded, Loretta's relationship with her co-stars remained constant. In 2022 interview for the 50th anniversary of the show, "We see each other on our anniversary," she remarked, rather regularly. "These aren't informal acquaintances from the past. This is my family." She remembered their first day together with fondness, collectively, recalling the vitality and everyone's enthusiasm on the set. That strong bond remained constant. On far 32nd anniversary of the last MASH episode, Loretta shared once more, in awe, how fast time had gone by. "Where does time fly by?" she wrote. "Cheers to the worldwide masked family, you. A joyful anniversary with appreciation and gratitude. I'm truly grateful for you. Love." Her parting words and the love explosion from her co-stars made it apparent following her passing that their bond transcended screenplays and sound stages. It was the kind of friendship that lasts a lifetime. It can only be obtained by sharing something genuinely unique, similar to working side by side in a program that impacted millions of people and endured over time. This profound feeling of unity both on and off screen is what makes the recent homage to Alan Alda profoundly resonant to Loretta Swit. The sincere silence of Alan Alda was shattered, honoring a really gifted actor. In the days after the devastating fans learn of Loretta Swit's passing, around the globe awaited word from someone they were familiar with had been the moster, off and on screen. Additionally, that individual is Alda Allen. The MASH actress, who is 89, took 2X to convey a sincere statement regarding this co-star and lifelong friend. Additionally, in as usual with Alda, it wasn't merely a honor, it was a letter of love to the female figure who influenced one of the greatest famous television programs. Her 10 Emmy nods were well earned, and Alda remarked, her 2 wins, explaining, Swit is an exceptionally gifted actor. However, he continued to compliment her accolades. Alda touched her more deeply. Huge effect in the background. Admirers. MASH. We'll always remember Loretta Swit, the person who plays Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihanstern, but compassionate army nurse in the adored comic war drama that aired from 1972 to 1983. There were only 4 cast members, including her, who remained for all 11 seasons with Benjamin Franklin, Alda Captain, Corporal Hawkeye Pierce, Jamie Fairwilliam Klinger, Maxwell Q. Mohay's father, Christopher. However, Alda claims that Swit did more than take action. She developed her personality in a how that altered the entire performance. Alda claimed to have made it, not in the literal sense in which it was written, but by giving the role her all and making a concerted effort to transform Margaret from a sexist stereotype into a completely human nature. She put forth a lot of effort in demonstrating to the writers how they could transform the persona from a single-joke sexist stereotype into a genuine individual with genuine emotions and aspirations, he outlined. Alda remembered a significant event, onset, moment that was really important to both of them. We commemorated the day that her character was listed in the script that was released. Margaret's lips, albeit not as hot, are what Alda wasn't only a line on a script. It represented Swat's commitment, development, and the heart she'd taken to her place of employment. Loretta created she spends much of her time here, he went on. Admirers recognized Hawkeye and Margaret as the will. They won't couple up during MASH's run, even though their partnership has always stayed in a platonic state. However, behind the scenes, Swit and Alda shared a strong bond, one developed via years of collaboration with Side and assisting in directing the show's direction. The passing of Swit surprised a lot of people. Only 4 days prior to the announcement, she had still been involved in her career interacting with fans on Instagram. Her unexpected death left the MASH cast and viewers were left speechless and devastated. Corporal Maxwell was portrayed by Jaime. Farrah Kulinger posted a private message about his own, referring to Swit and letting them know how much he would miss her. Mike Farrell, a new cast member as BJ Hunyut in Season 4, paid quietly honor using a straightforward black and white Swit's picture with the words, Loretta, 1937-2025. Fans also flooded in with tributes, with one especially heartfelt remark being noticeable. In response to Alda's post stating, "Thanks to you guys, I worked as a nurse and discovered that displaying you're a good human being to your patients." The one statement speaks for itself. Volumes that demonstrated MASH's role as a source of solace, direction, and motivation for lots. Additionally, it included actors Loretta, and it was made thus by Alan Alda. Swit, Loretta, despite her passing, her legacy as Margaret, as an innovative actress, as well as a creative, compassionate force, endures. Among her most significant contributions were the ways in which she changed the character from a single note to a strong, multifaceted woman. The progression from heated lips to Margaret of the persona of Loretta Swit. When Loretta Swit initially appeared on the cast of MASH in 1972, Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, as she is known to, was taking on a position that had previously painted using a very wide and, to be honest, superficial brush. In the first MASH film from 1970, which was directed by actress Sally Kellerman and Robert Altman, performed the one-note role of Margaret, stiff, too rigid and mostly there as the target of jokes. She was frequently depicted as an ignorant ditzy, nurse fixated on adhering to the rules and entangled in a covert liaison with Frank Burns. Her private time with him only added a broadcast to the entire camp. 2. The Shame. At the beginning of the series, Swit really started by imitating Kellerman's rendition, portraying Margaret as aloof, controlling, and primarily for amusement. However, this is where things began to change. Loretta Swit didn't feel at ease maintaining, Margaret became trapped in the box. She noticed that if the persona remained a single joke, she wouldn't survive because of sexist stereotypes. In a performance. That was obviously intended to, for some time. Thus, at the second Swit took a stand in the third season. She stated, "In the second or third year I made the decision to attempt portraying her as real, individual in a clever way, even if doing so would harm the comedy." The quote sums everything up. She didn't hesitate to stomp on a couple of jokes if it meant adding depth to Margaret. Loretta Swit never liked the moniker, Warm Lips. Indeed, she discovered it, demeaning, and thought it compromised the depth that her character was due. Ascertained to raise Margaret over Swit's one-dimensional label didn't sit. She returned with the hope that things would change. She urged the authors to observe, considering Margaret to be more than a stereotype. As a result of her perseverance, the character gradually changed from a strict caricature into a woman in her whole. One having genuine feelings, aspirations, and a strong feeling of self. Each large incident involving Margaret, Swit viewed it as a permanent fixture with her personality. She didn't stop growing, Swit once clarified. And, as a result, MASH began diving, explore more expansive subjects, both gender roles and sexism emotional trauma in the military from Margaret's point of view. That modification wasn't overlooked. As time went on, Margaret became far less rigid and much more layered. This moniker, the sultry lips, started to become less useful. Her involvement in activism included direct action because she was one of many famous people who penned an open letter to President Reagan's support of their location of rescued laboratory monkeys referred to as the Silver Spring 9 to protect facilities. Additionally, Swit started her own animal, the Sweetheart Animal Alliance, a nonprofit and association devoted to bringing people back together, Afghani dogs with their human partners, and linking veterans with animals that are homeless. Her creative abilities, along with her support in her Amazon, the watercolor artistry of Sweetheart, and Loretta's animal activism. This compilation contains portraits of animals. All proceeds were published in 2017, contributed to her charity. In addition, to confirming her dedication to animals' welfare. In her own thoughts, was open about her life decisions. In an interview from 1979, she said that she always desired to pursue a career in acting and remembered her early passion for movies, raised by her mother. Additionally, she declared a lack of interest in getting married and saying, "I'm not interested in family being wed. I'm employed in individuals and activities that are important to me. I don't want many more requests," she said. Gave appreciation to Alan Alda for making her feel. No longer feeling bad about not wanting a family, taking into account her parents and friends as her relatives. As she subsequently married Dennis Holohan, an actor with whom they were divorced in 1983 after meeting on MASH 1895, and she didn't have any kids. Switzerland, the narrative was one of intense self-reliance and steadfast commitment to her art. However, she wasn't the only person who quit MASH, a deep influence that extends much beyond the screen. Her life, however, spoke to the strength of putting passion before, of her closest co-star carved convention, leaving a legacy of compassion, humor, and intelligence. The work of Alan Alda lasting legacy and individual path. Born Alfonso Joseph de Bruto, Alan Alda has established a remarkable and diverse career with a long, reach beyond his well-known Hawkeye role, Pierce. His adventure started long before the 477th. He refined his skills in the 1950s in improv comedy with ensembles like As Second City and the Compass Players. He made his Broadway debut in his early career, first appearance in 1961's Pearly Victorious, and receive a nomination for a Tony for his appearance in the musical The Apple Tree in 1966. Additionally, he starred in early movies such Paper Lion, 1968, and the 1971 Maisto Waltz, and frequently appeared on television's the groundbreaking political satire program. That Was That Week? Alda's private situations that profoundly influenced his convictions in the arts. He had 6 months in the reserves of the U.S. Army following. He was a college student stationed in Korea, particularly in charge of a tent for a mess. Although his time in the military was short and uneventful. In contrast to the actual fighting experiences of several people, it ingrained in him deep comprehension of the seriousness of conflict. He saw soldiers looking, playing idly or blankly with their food, astounded. By what they've seen, it influenced his wish for MASH to depict the harsh realities of combat. Alda was worried that the program might turn into nothing more than frontal hysteria, and urged Larry, one of the co-creators, to veterans Gene Reynolds and Galbart Self, that they desired to perform. Demonstrate how the war was perceived for what it is, a location where people are in terrible hurt. Even this dedication to reality, inside a humorous context, turned into a motivation for MASH's anti-war position and its capacity to provide poignant moments in addition to its humor. While he was on MASH, Alda developed into a powerful creative energy that influences the direction and tone of the show. He composed, directed 32 episodes and produced 19 of them, including the series finale that broke the record, Amen, Goodbye, and Farewell. He is the sole recipient of an Emmy for composing, directing, and performing for A1 series. As his creative authority grows, MASH progressively changed from switching from conventional service comedy to a more severe dramatic performance that publicly discussed social and political topics. His dedication to character development reached out to his fellow actors as he allegedly influenced the development of characters like Father Malky, Charles Margaret, and Klinger, even going so far as to defend William Father Malky, Christopher, on the show. Alda's ability to improvise is clear. From the first scene in which he played Hawkeye, where he gave a nurse an impromptu embrace to get into character, made further contributions to the heart and genuineness of the show. Alda's career took a different turn after MASH. Remarkably, he kept directing and staring at movies, such as 1981's The Four Seasons, The Wedding of Betts and Sweet Liberty, 1986-90. He received an Academy Award nomination for the role of Best Supporting Actor for the part he played in Martin Scorsese's 2004's Aviator, and made an appearance in critically famous movies such as Crimes and 1989 Misdemeanors, 2015 Bridge of Spies, and 2019 Marriage Story. He received another Emmy for television for playing Senator Arnold on a regular basis from 2004 until 2006. Vinnick was on The West Wing, had parts in Ray Donovan, and 30 Rock Alda made important contributions as well to the communication of science. He hosted the instructional program for 14 years. Scientific American Frontiers is a PBS program. He was a co-founder of the Alan Alda Center for Science Communication at he assisted Stony Brook University. More communication skills are taught to scientists successfully with the general audience by employing theater improvisation exercises. In 2018, Alda made public his Parkinson's disease diagnosis, which since 2015 he had overseen. In spite of the difficulties, he keeps an exceptionally upbeat outlook, declaring that he's improving and always searching for the humorous aspect. He thinks that managing the illness as nearly a full-time occupation always coming up with innovative methods to comparing something to a game where he resolves issues and feels as though $1 million. Alan Alda's advantage and enthusiasm for life, despite the fact that health problems demonstrate how long-lasting his influence as a performer, a spokesperson for others, and a genuinely motivating individual. There is no way to discuss Alan and Switzerland's legacy without acknowledging the show that brought it all together. The MASH's lasting legacy. MASH, the television shows that began airing in 1972 up until 1983, was nothing less than revolutionary cultural phenomena, in essence changing the American landscape media. It combined witty humor with the psychological toll that a conflict zone medical drama. Yes, it caused some people to laugh, but additionally, it caused them to reflect more. Most importantly, feel, during the Korean War, but obviously impacted by During the Vietnam War, it combined humor with satirizing conflict, questioning authority, and investigating actual problems like PTSD, racism, sexism, and the mental health cost of ongoing conflict. The impact of MASH made room for further performances to address weighty subjects while still joking. Shows such as Murphy Brown, Hill Street, Scrubs, and Women's Design Blues followed suit, incorporating humor, with sincere, frequently challenging realities. But there was a negative aspect to success. Wayne Trapper John, played by Rogers and Henry, Blake was portrayed by Emlan Stevenson, departed early, apparently feeling overtaken by the burgeoning fame of Alda. Nevertheless, the program changed exactly like its characters acted amid the mayhem. In fact, the constantly shifting cast reflected war's reality, where nothing lasts the same for a long time. Next came the conclusion, Amen, Goodbye, and Farewell. When it broadcast in 1983, almost 106 million viewers pay attention. It broke the record. The streets were deserted. The nation stopped to bid farewell. That last episode still holds the title of most watched historical aired television episode. Were simply said, Alan Alda and Loretta Swit assuming roles? Or did their relationship, as Margaret and Hawkeye, disclose something more deeply about friendship and love in real life and interpersonal relationships? Leave your responses in the remarks section below. Remember to enjoy the video and sign up for the channel. I appreciate you watching.